is iRacing.
Welcome to Lime Rock Park. Located in the northwest corner of Connecticut, this unassuming little track has garnered a surprisingly passionate following. Its unique aspects create a circuit not only full of character, but consistently challenging even to modern race cars. While it has 4 different possible layouts, on the classic version, only 7 corners are split along a 1.5 mile track with just a single one of them turning left. Though simple in appearance, most drivers will tell you that trying to be fast here is anything but. The run down the front stretch into Big Bend offers pretty much the only viable passing spot, but it's a double apex right-hander which lures drivers into taking it too fast. The uphill is also scary quick considering its lack of runoff and can sometimes cause cars to get airborne over its crest. Then, on the opposite end, the downhill sends cars diving into a quick sweeper which requires a good exit speed in order to defend or attack back into the first corner. Modern racing mostly uses the more recently built chicanes, especially at the uphill. But one of the most unusual facts about this track is that the races are never held on Sunday. Due to a legal agreement with a nearby church, events must take place on Fridays and Saturdays. The confines around this place are tight, the passing opportunities are few, and mistakes are usually punished with race-ending damage. With most other road courses now being built with upwards of 3 and 4 miles in length, this track stands out. But in an age of multi-million-dollar facilities and flashy buildings, this quaint small circuit manages to keep fans coming back with its intimate and grassroots setting.
is the hard charger, but they have to qualify to count for that, will receive a one-day racing school bonus. It's all in all about $500,000 that is on the line here, with everybody putting their best foot forward. And Joey, the one thing that I look at right now is that top three picture, because it is just about changed. We're getting word that there is no Cody Deeth who walks into today in that bubble position, third overall. It's an opportunity for at least 10 drivers to jump up and say, I want third, heading to the final round.
It's kind of been two drivers that have run away with it. Victor Miranda and even Machado up here. They've got a nice little gap. And you see Cody Deeth sitting here in third place. Well, why aren't we talking about Cody? He's not here tonight. That's going to absorb the drop rounds. It's pretty much going to put third place up for grabs. There's several drivers between Busa, Young, Ovcharov, Shoma Shintani, also Caruana. They're all going to be fighting for maximum points here tonight, because remember, that third place that we just covered in those points, that's the ticket to VIR. That's what everybody is going to be extremely aggressive over, and we're going to be watching it.
We absolutely are. Of course, it's worth noting that the points you see right now are without the 2 drop rounds that are applied in this series, and you can take them for any 2 races over the course of this one, which includes round 10, should you need it. We're through 6 rounds worth of racing action as things currently stand. So drivers like Shoma Shintani and Matt Caruana have both used all their drop rounds up, so they will be looking at trying to maximize their points hauls over the last 4 rounds of the season. But we're going to take a chance to talk about what makes this series and why this is such a difficult series to go out there and perform, because you've got to be lightning fast here, Joey, and I think that shows in the fact that there's 2 races here tonight, as there has been at every race meeting that we've been to, but there's a lot of peculiarity that comes along with it.
Round 4 of 5 out here. 2 races on each one of these events. Everybody is in those F4 cars, and yeah, 15 minutes per race. And the drivers, the qualifying session, it is extremely competitive, because guess what? You only have 1 lap to set your time. That sets the for race number 1. After you race through race number 1, the finishing results will set the grid for race number 2, an identical race length of 15 minutes. And I mentioned it earlier, it's a fixed setup. That truly means spec racing out there. Every single car is identical. We're all racing on the exact same track with the exact same weather conditions. It's up to each competitor to go out there and understand what the car and the track can give you in each one of those practice sessions, and time to put it all on the line and display out here right now in the race.
They certainly do, and those 15-minute races, a lot can happen in such a short period of time, and everybody is going to be looking around thinking what they need to do. Qualifying has about 3 seconds left on it before we take ourselves over to starting grid procedure, and it's a pretty interesting qualifying, the way that it's all lined itself up. This will be a tough circuit for overtaking, so track position proved to be key, and it is Matt Busa, 4th in the championship, who puts the car on pole with Leo Ovcharov, the number 1, the best driver from hot lap qualifying, alongside him on the front row. It's then Felipe Cabrera, who finds himself in 3rd, and Aiden Young 4th, as Victor Miranda, the championship leader, finds himself 5th, with Bryce Weyer making his first start of the season. He's there in 6th. Ivan Machado starts 7th alongside the back-to-back winner, the single winner last time out, almost went back-to-back, Matt Caruana there in 8th position, with Ross Banfield in 9th, and Jeffrey Decker, the former pro Stripe, rounding out 10 places.
A new name here in round 4. Freddie Rodriguez-Mira is going to be starting in 11th, with Cade Middleton in 12th. Hayden Dewey in 13th, with Mikhail Sikorsky in 14th. Patrick Hingston starting in 15th, with Byron Mitchell in 16th. Shoma Shintani in 17th. Keep an eye on that number 6 car. Andrew Moran in 18th. And then 19th is Sebastian Sujano Sheteni, the last of the 19 cars here today.
Yeah, his time wasn't necessarily representative over his 1 lap. He just wanted a banker. He did a 1:10 in his qualifying, which was a full 16.2 seconds off the pace of Matt Busa's qualifying time of a 54.6 out there. No 107% rule here in this series, but Sebastian Sedano, gets himself a position on the back of the field, and will now look to push to try and get things sorted and moving forward in this one. 3 drivers here today have themselves spotters to look at here. So Victor Miranda, as we've seen all season, Joey, has Jackson Rosenda for company in the box. Byron Mitchell's got Garth de Villiers for company, giving him help. And Cade Middleton's got the help of 2, a driver we've seen already this season in Mitchell Ian Green, and Ken Miller also in his ears.
I think having a spotter can be very crucial at pretty much every single racetrack. Now, I come from North American racing, and we can use spotters wherever we want to, and we really take advantage. But at a track like Lime Rock, known as the Bull Ring, if you've got an eye in the sky, it is so much nicer to know if a lunge is coming. Remember, we're running the chicanes version, so some of these moves can kind of come in unorthodox ways. If you have a rhythm of Lime Rock Park, you're going to have to break it with these 2 different chicane sections.
Yes, normally when you run a circuit like Lime Rock Park without the chicanes being involved, it is fast and it is flowing, and there is only one left-hand corner on the entirety of the track. Now you break that up with the chicanes, you have to tiptoe around certain sections, especially on this opening lap. Race 7 of the championship, the iRacing sedan pace car is going to move over to the right-hand side, left-hand side of screen. Pace in control of the veteran, Matt Busa. Green flag in the air. We are underway, pushing 3 wide in the middle, and watch out for that run to the big bend. Ovcharov on the outside as they now look to try and funnel through this opening section of turns 1 and 2. Everybody trying to make sure the pivot works for them. Busa with a lovely launch through the opening section of the road. He's got the jump that he wants. Ovcharov in second, and behind it, side by side for third. There's contact. Round goes Aiden Young.
Oh, so unfortunate for Aiden Young. He's going to lose a ton of track position, but it is Busa trying to escape. He's got Leo right behind him, and now into the first chicane, hard onto the brakes. Oh, we've got weird contact. A car going up and over and on its route. We have several cars involved.
It was Patrick Hingston who overshot the braking zone down on the bottom of the chicane and had to try and abandon over the anti-cut curve to try and avoid contact, and just could not. That's what happens around this circuit. It's very tight, it's very narrow. You've got 1 car off the road across backfield. This is Victor Miranda we look at this moment in time, having to play a little bit of defence out there at this point. Look at that. How aggressive do you want to be out there? Matt Caruana is proving that he has come to race, and he wants it as the Englishman at this point. On the brakes now, through the left-hander, onto lap 2, and the more that you scrap, the more that gap will open up right now. It's Busa from Ovcharov, from Felipe Cabrera Loyola.
From Caruana into turn number 1, it even kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and so you're just going to have to keep an eye on all of these drivers. Oh, Shoma Shintani having problems, and that's so important if you're trying to get up into third. And there was another huge lunge that almost took out Caruana. I believe that was even Machado with the big-time lunge.
Yeah, the word is that there was corkscrew spiraling by Shoma Shintani. Was able to land upright on his wheels and somehow is still continuing in this race by what's going on. On board with Caruana, Busa with the fastest lap then going forward, and Caruana trying to find a way around the championship leader, needing as many places as possible, and an opportunity that has opened up with Cody Deep not here. Matt Busa leading this race is an interesting case here, Joey, because he walks into today 4th in the championship, but if you totaled up the drop rounds today, he'd be P9 coming into today.
It's an open bag, right? The championship with 3rd place with Cody Deeth is kind of up for grabs right now. We've seen problems with Shoma Shintani. That was one of the drivers that I was going to keep my eye on today. He needed a good performance. Another one with Caruana, who's sitting there in 5th place. He's actually looking the best of the bunch outside of Busa leading the way right now. But, oh, man, I just think things are going to get shuffled up quite a bit.
Yeah, the black and orange mechanical flags out for Shoma Shintani, Patrick Hingston, Freddie Rodriguez, and Ross Banfield here today. Victor Miranda sets the fastest lap of the race as he's clawed back to Felipe Cabrera, who's on that final spot at the podium here in race 7 of 10 in this championship. You've got Leo Ovcharov there in second, you've got Matt Busa there in first, and right now Felipe Cabrera, after missing the round last time out, now has no drop rounds to play with. He's desperate for points as well, and you look at someone like Victor Miranda, this is I would say a tenuous situation that he's stuck in right now. He needs the finishing, of course, but you'd say if he finishes consistent top 5 between now and the end of the season, he's got a top 3 spot in the bag.
bit of a peculiar position, kind of being sandwiched between these two other cars and sitting in fourth place, because if he's aggressive, he could cause a wreck and go way far back in terms of track position. He's got to run. I don't think it's going to be close enough into turn number one. It's just such an arcing corner with tons of momentum. The brake zone isn't huge going down in there. However, Felipe Cabrera, who's starting to lose touch with our two leaders, you would think that, hey, don't apply pressure to Felipe. You can go up there and catch him, but he's actually losing touch with them. I think Victor wants by.
In saying that, though, Felipe Cabrera was marginally faster than Matt Booster, the overall race leader. The issue is Leo Ovcharov is trying to close in and use the slipstream that Matt Booster's got in this race. Just looking around as well. It's been consistent from Ivan Machado, second in the championship. He's P7 at the moment, working with Bryce Weyer in that group just behind them. You've also got the likes of the third group, which is Byron Mitchell holding off Middleton and Young and Andrew Moran, who's all in there as well. But focusing with Miranda and this group that leads the field outright at this moment in time. The chase is very much on, rushing through in towards the opening section. Caruana this time with the fastest lap, trying to get closer. Watch out in the background, that's Aiden Young, who's getting a bit of a bump from Andrew Moran, trying to get some help through into the big bend along the Sam Posey straight, and there's not much that Andrew Moran can see. Is Cade Middleton holding the very limits of the circuit. Joey is now going to have to go around the outside of the right-hander to get it done. Always the toughest place to hold.
Aiden Young left just one car with right behind, and now Moran's going to look to the left side, but that's going to be tough to go around in the chicane. Almost contact there between Young and Middleton, but I think Aiden Young is saying thank you very much. Remember, he was spun around there in the first couple of corners on the opening lap. Now he's got some ground to make up, another second and a half to go catch Byron Mitchell in ninth.
Well, a second and a half, big Victor Miranda all the way to the inside of the circuit goes Felipe Cabrera Loyola, and now Miranda, the Brazilian, trying to take the long road around to make the pass. Felipe can't shut the door, and as such the gap has to be left open, and again he pinches and shuts the door back again. This is brilliant stuff by them. Out goes Felipe Cabrera, contact the championship leader.
Got damage on the front right. Felipe Cabrera, he's going to have to DNF that car. You see him pulling over the side, hitting the tow button. But that moved Victor Miranda up into third place. You saw him try to time the over-under, but instead of over-under, it was over and through.
Well, over and out for Felipe Cabrera, who will be very unhappy about that and might want to lodge protest with that after the race. Caruana wakes up to it though. He thinks perfect, one less driver to worry about. Little bit of contact there for Victor Miranda, and it's comfortable for Caruana. He pilots his way up now into third, and he's got the second half of this race now to try and chase down Leo Ovcharov and Matt Busa, who have done no battling in this race, which has been so clever of them because they've been desperate to build a gap.
You know that there's never any time to catch our breath in these 15-minute races, but I'm going to keep my eye on Caruana and Miranda here in third and fourth, because our leaders, like you said, they're doing a great job to just go out there and set fast lap after fast lap, but I really do feel like Felipe was holding up these two cars. Let's see if the number 8 and the number 4 will start to close the gap.
Well, they just about closed it to a second. That contact cost the group a second back. So now they sit 1.5 seconds, work to be done, and a lot of contrasting lines being found through the diving turn, the final corner out here on this circuit. 5 retirees already from this race, and Jeffrey Decker does not want to be the 6th. He looks down the inside, gets the pass done on Bryce Weyer, and makes that pass up into P6. Now, Ivan Machado's got through the pair of them, and look at how quickly they are being dropped. Ivan Machado, I think, is the fastest driver on circuit, bar only a couple. Machado's on the move.
54.83 was Machado's last lap time. Compare that to Caruana, even in third place at 55.5. So you're right, Machado definitely on the move as we jump back up to our second place car. Leo is all over the back of Matt Busa. They have continued to grow that gap over Caruana. So these two, they're doing an excellent chess game. Just keep stretching the gap and then fight amongst yourselves at the end.
Well, the rubber band has completely snapped here, and now Busa and Ovcharov are going to look around and go, well, how many points do we both want? We're both vying for that P3 space, and I would say that Leo Ovcharov has maybe the more favourable drops in this scenario than maybe Matt Busa does at this point. There's 30 points of drops for Leo Ovcharov. Right now, there are 39 points of drops for Matt Busa. The difference between those drives in the championship, when you put the drops in, is just 4 championship points. The difference between first and second in a race like this, Joey, is 3 championship points.
Every single point is valuable, and honestly, if you can get more, then take them if they're on the table. So yeah, it's all about getting to the top 3 in this championship. That's the ticket to VIR. That's the opportunity that everybody wants. So trust me, these drivers, they understand what's on the line.
Oh, and on top of that, they know that if they have an issue here in race 1, they start where they finish in race 2. Bryce Weyer back to the inside, hoping to try and find his way by, and has done now on Jeffrey Decker. Gets the position sorted and moves up back into 6th position. So a nice trade between these two, getting some solid points at Lime Rock Park. Ovcharov chasing into the chicane, now trying to get some drive, but Busa up the hill. An e-NASCAR driver for over a decade. He's someone who's done pretty much everything there is to do in a sim racing sense on iRacing. He is someone that is looking for that golden ticket to move on and hit the next stage of his career, which will be jumping real world.
Do you think, well, e-NASCAR, we're sitting here in these formula cars doing road racing. Some of these guys should be able to kind of play the game and overtake them. If you are a racer at heart, you understand racecraft and where to put your car, how to be fast, how to win races. Matt Busa has proven that. That's why he's up front. Doesn't matter if it's in a stock car or an open wheeler, he's going to be one of the fastest.
Yeah, Victor Miranda now shadowing beautifully here. Matt Caruana set the fastest lap for a moment before it was taken away by Aiden Young, who, remember, was backwards on the opening lap of this race and is somehow back into 8th position. He won't get hard charging points for it, but my word, would he deserve some out there at this point. Miranda getting close to what is the West Bend chicane that they run through, and it's a late apex entry through the first part to get as much pace through the second part of the corner, Joey.
It's all about the launch, because you keep your foot flat to the floor through the last corner, down the hill and down the front straightaway here, and you see Miranda just in the slipstream behind Caruana. I really don't expect any passing to come out of these two cars, at least for the next couple laps. They're doing 54-second laps with 3.5 minutes left, plus there's going to be a few more opportunities. Let's see if they can kind of close in that gap. The leader was 2.4, now it's down to 2.0, but it's not closing quite enough.
No, not enough, I think, is the word. Old Father Time is knocking on the door. You've got 3 minutes to chase 2 seconds. You've got to gain a second, almost a minute, and that around here is a second a lap. But they do have traffic in the form of Hayden Dewey in the number 20 car in front of your leaders. So that's going to be the next thing they've got to navigate through. And where they catch that traffic might be the pick that Leo Ovcharov is waiting for in this race. You can see there's the 20 car in front, who will have to potentially move out of the way here for these top 2 of Busa and Ovcharov. And Ovcharov right now has been waiting for the perfect time to strike. There is no more perfect time than now.
Sometimes you just need that little bit of variable. If it's a lapped car, maybe if it's going off the line. And Jeffrey Decker, the number 16 car, just had a problem, lost a bunch of spots later back in the pack here. But here's our leaders through the first chicane. You see that car right out in front of the screen. That is that lapped car that we're talking about. How is Matt Busa going to handle it, as we see maybe a position change here between Miranda and Caruana as Victor goes down the inside?
Well, Victor Miranda there had to make the move, and now Matt Caruana looking at that final spot. It was all managed off of the attack, off of the chicane, where Caruana ran slightly wide. Now using the draft fantastically, they go through side by side for P3. For the race lead, it stays Busa from Ovcharov, but here goes Matt Caruana going around the outside of the championship leaders. A bit of argy-bargy between them, but Miranda just about holds.
Beautiful Beautifully played by Miranda. He gave it a squirt of throttle right in the middle of 1 and 2. That cleared him from Caruana, and thankfully the contact front to rear did not spin him around. So you know that Matt sitting there in that fourth position is starting to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I was owed a little bit more space, and he's got to run. He's going to look to the inside. Victor covers him off going into the second chicane.
Yeah, but you can get the cut back here, and how aggressive do you want to be through this left? That is where Matt Caruana's going to try and find himself through. There'll be 2 laps to go here in race 7 of 10 of this championship, and Matt Caruana's going to try and box him in with the traffic. No, just about leaves the room there. Big scary moment for Hayden Dewey on that inside line as they went through and trying to open up the door on the inside. Matt Caruana is going to use every trick in the book, but Victor Miranda, undeterred, is just parking his FIA F4 like a bus.
You see directly in front of him, it is still Busa leading the way over Obsharov up there, so just going to have to be patient. Only about a lap and a half remaining. Is it going to be Busa that takes a checkered flag? Is Leo going to steal it away on the last lap? And is it going to be Miranda on the podium again? Caruana's looking down to the inside. Oh, he has a really late lunge. Almost contact with the front to the rear there. But we're going to start the last lap.
We absolutely are, and at the moment it is between these 2 drivers who have been on the outside of this championship looking in for a chance. A bit of weaving there in the background as Miranda tries to shake off one Mr. Matt Caruana, who throws one for the inside, but again he's just short by about half a metre if he wants to make that move. Victor Miranda is covering everything off, but Leo Ovcharov, keep him in the mind because he's closer than he has been over the last couple of laps. He's gearing it up, I think, for the West Bend chicane. That's where he wants to make this move in the best place, you would say, late to make this move. But Matt Boost has been so good through this first chicane. Up the hill, the run is so vital, and Leo Ovcharov's got to throw something in if he wants it, or is he thinking points game, knowing that he's got 3 or 4 points in the back pocket over Matt Busa with drops, which will now be 1 point in the back pocket. Driving out of the diving turn, it's going to be all about run towards the line. Matt Busa is going to hold and take race 1 tonight, and for the podium, Miranda holds on. 300th, his saving grace.
Caruana gave it a shot. He tried to do an over-under coming out of the final chicane and gave him a run to the line as we watch Andrew Moran and Jeffrey Decker, as well as Cade Middleton and company, cross the line. We'll get our results up on the screen as soon as they're available, but what a finish.
Only 0.08 of a second between Matt Busa and Leo Ovcharov over the line, and that a winning margin which Matt Busa has been searching for all this season. He wins that gap. Victor Miranda would be the final driver on the podium, staving off the challenge of Matt Caruana as Ivan Machado took a consolidatory 5th position, a gain of 2 out there overall. It's then Bryce Weyer in 6th with Aiden Young 7th. Byron Mitchell then leads home Cade Middleton. Look at that gap, 9th and 10th. 100th between Middleton and Moran.
Yeah, and then in 11th here, we had Jeffrey Decker, followed with Sebastian Schettini, Mikhail Sikorsky, Hayden Dewey, Shoma Shintani, Ross Banfield, Felipe Cabrera, Patrick Hingston, and Freddie Rodriguez Mira. A lot of those cars down towards the end, pretty much the last 5, had lots of problems, several laps down, or a DNF out there.
Yep, so there was a lot of troubles out there for a number of drivers. Shoma Shintani really couldn't have afforded that, and that might just be the dent that pretty much cost his search for a top 3 position at the end. Felipe Cabrera, you can put in the same boat as well, but you're talking about what these drivers were looking for here today. I think the most impressive driver is the one that we didn't really see today, Joey. That is Aiden Young, who was able to go from last back to, I believe, 7th place over the line, which is basically keeping his championship hopes, or his top 3 hopes, still alive.
And he was one of these drivers that I had circled, like he's right on the bubble there for fighting for that 3rd place. And with no Cody Deeth showing up today, you're right. Let's watch Aiden Young talk about a terrible nightmare of a start for race number 1, being spun around and finding himself literally in the back of the pack. But you're right. Great redemption to get points out of it. 7th place is way better than what he was at the end of lap number 1. Let's see what he can do in race number 2.
How much are these drivers, knowing that it's such tough overtaking here today, Joey, are just thinking about, quote unquote, getting out of Dodge? It's that sort of race where if you've got points, perfect, take them. If you've not, how many can I scramble out? They've got one more race that's coming up, and then they're thinking once more of VIR, but it's the classic VIR layout with that long run on Madison Avenue.
We talked about this place being known as the Bull Ring, and I mean, how many times did we already see contact here today? We saw front to rear contact, even inside the top five. So a lot of these moves, these over-under moves that are trying to be timed, well, the Bull Ring, you still got to get the elbows out every now and then. We're going to see if it gets cleaned up or if it's a little bit more of the same. I'm going to guess more of the same, Jake. That's why this place is known as it is.
Well, one of the things with this layout is that you've got all these chicanes to slow these cars down and to give them that opportunity to really have that crunch. But a lot of the incidents that we saw in the early stage of the race is the fact that you've got those anti-cut curbs, which are there to protect the grass around the circuit, which is there to protect the circuit and the integrity, so you're not having to constantly put down AstroTurf or replace the grass every single year. So for those drivers who are trying to throw themselves in the corners, one missed braking zone, and the way that it concertinas at the bottom of the hill, it's very easy to see 2, 3, 4, 5 cars with damage or out of the race on the opening lap.
Now, I do agree with you that, yes, those big old sausage curbs, those anti-cut curbs launch the car. However, you don't need to drive over them if you make your braking markers. So I think it's all about hitting your markers, keeping it on the paved stuff, and the cleaner you keep the car, the better off you're going to be towards the end of the race. Yeah, we can always point fingers and say, oh, the curb launched me, I was in too deep, but ultimately, why were you in too deep?
Well, why is the big question. Now, Busa and Ovcharov here have made their biggest claim out there that they want the most points, 1 and 2 in qualifying, 1 and 2 in the race. They will start this next race coming up 1 and 2 as well in about 100 seconds from now. So, Joey, you're looking at Matt Busa, who was unchallenged really in that race. Ovcharov didn't throw a single punch out there. It was like watching two boxers sparring, basically. Does Leo Ovcharov decide in this next race, knowing he can't afford to drop 3 more points to Matt Busa, does he throw a punch in this second race?
I think that it's a two-edged sword, right? If you're too aggressive, you can find yourself buried in the pack and in a situation that we saw Aiden Young be able to capitalize on, but I'm sure that he didn't want to be forced into. So I think that you need to keep doing what you're doing. Don't change your game plan. As soon as you change your driving style or change what you're doing, that's when mistakes can get made. If somebody recognizes how you race, keep racing the exact same way, because that's what they're relying on you and your reactions to do. I wouldn't change a thing if I was either one of those drivers.
You had Miranda, Caruana, and Machado buried in the pack in the 3rd and 4th rows. Are they going to make a charge, Joey?
Of course, right? I think that you could look at any one of these drivers and say, hey, they got their sights set on going straight towards the front. And remember, we also have those hard charger awards. That's literally up for grabs. That's $200 going to Skip Barber Racing School. So all of these drivers, even if you're starting way towards the back, trust me, they got their sights set on the front.
They absolutely do. The checkered flag has just gone in the warm-up, which means in the next couple of moments, we will head on down to what will be our starting grid for race number 8 of 10. It is getting a little bit sweaty at this moment. It's a crunch time moment. These drivers all know what they have to do. And of course, that grid is set the way it was in race number 1's result. So Matt Busa will be on that pole position, and it will be Leo Ovcharov for company on the front row. Victor Miranda and Matt Caruana, we saw how aggressive they were in race 1. They house row 2 as Ivan Machado and Bryce Weyer are 5th and 6th. Aiden Young starts 7th with the hard charger of the last race. Byron Mitchell in 8th position as Cade Middleton starts 9th along with Andrew Moran.
In 11th, we have Jeffrey Decker, who had problems late in race number 1. In 12th, we have Sebastian Zdeno Schettini. Then we have Mikhail Sikorsky starting 13th. Hayden Dewey in 14th. Shoma Shintani looking for some redemption here in 15th. Ross Banfield in 16th. Felipe Cabrera Loyola in 17th. Patrick Hingston 18th. And Freddie Rodriguez Mira in 19th.
long road from the back of the field for Freddie Rodriguez. He has got a lot to try and scramble through with. We haven't talked weather here today, Joey, but that track right now in sim time is just knocking on the door of 3 o'clock, and it's a 47-degree track. It's hot.
That equates to 116 degrees Fahrenheit. It is warm, 75-degree ambient air temperature, so nothing that's terribly too bad when we're talking about the big scheme of things. But yeah, the track temperature being well north of 100 degrees. Remember, we talked about it, I believe it was at COTA, and then also at VIR. These high track temperatures, it just means that the drivers have to pay attention that much closer to the grip levels that the racetrack is giving you. High temperatures equal low grip and slidey cars.
I can confirm we have just lost one driver. Patrick Hingston has just run into some technical issues out there, and as such, I think he is in a mad scramble to reach the grid. He might just have to start from the pits here, and the question will be how quickly he can go out and start racing, depending on how quickly he can jump back into the race. So they'll keep that in mind, and of course it's another 15 minutes that's there on the clock. So can you find that scramble, and can you get what's wanted? Matt Buser will start, and he wants to go. Does Matt Buser? Look at him, he was desperate to get past the iRacing sedan safe pace car out there. He wants to race and run away again.
Saw that from the same thing on race number 1. As soon as he could drop it into gear, it's almost like he did a little mock practice start and almost launched by the safety car. He is ready to go.
Well, he knows how important it is finding form at the right time. He's been consistent. Now he's needing to string results together. It's Buser, Ovcharov, Miranda, Caruana, and Ivan Machado, your top 5. Let's get going. Race 8, and we're underway, and they're immediately going to fan. Massive block by Matt Buser. Nowhere for Miranda to go. 3 almost 4 wide. They run to the big bend. Caruana trying around the outside. Takes a tap for his troubles. Ovcharov's going to drop 3 spaces then through the big bend. And he's Miranda now second. Machado up to third. And Aiden Young, what a start from him. 7th up to 4th.
The big loser. Oh, look at him, 2-3 wide going into turn number 4. The right-hander there, I was going to say, the number 8 of Caruana is probably the biggest loser in those first couple of corners. He finds himself buried into 7th as we've got a little bit of side-by-side contact through the first chicane, but much cleaner on the opening lap.
Oh, it really was, and everybody knows now what they've got to expect here if they want to put their best foot forward. They've got no more chances tonight after this race, so you might as well survive the first lap and get exactly what you want out of it. Matt Buser, using that experience, leads this race from the front. Look at a scramble there behind as drivers start to try and work out where they can defend. It's Shintani and Byron Mitchell. What a start by Shintani. He's up 5 spots on the opening lap of this race, in a race where he hasn't had a single incident in it off of the start. So a massive amount of work to do. Caruana got shuffled down 3 places there off the start. He really was the big loser. On board with Aiden Young, chasing now towards the chicane.
Great opportunity for this driver right here. Remember, we documented race number 1 and how much he fell through the field, and now he's got the podium sitting right there in front of him. Even Machado, remember, that's one of the fastest drivers throughout the entire season so far. Machado's been top 2 in points. He's a great driver to hook on the back to, and if he's too slow, well, guess what? You're still towards the front of the field.
Well, he needs to make the move, and he needs to make it quickly, because look at that gap. It's about 7/10 of a second, and he needs this pass done. Otherwise, he'll lose slipstream to Miranda and Matt Buser, who'll be looking to break away. No chance there at the end for one Mr. Aiden Young, knowing that Ivan Machado has to hold his station. And Charov there behind. You've got Weyer and Caruana just behind that as well. Looking for those opportunities, this blowing opening section of the lap, through the right-hander, onto the no-name straight, which is a little right, a little left, and then immediately on the brakes for the uphill chicane. And it is a massive press that you go up through the moment you put the power down.
To put the power down solidly. You're seeing Aiden Young show the nose to the inside, can't quite keep it tucked in there. It's such an odd late apex. You were talking about it. You really have to focus on putting the power down, because if you chop the front end of the corner like that, you're just going to be a sitting duck on the straightaway. And in fact, I think Leo's going to take a look. It's going to really condense between these 3.
Oh, big power move. Aiden Young throws it to the inside, and he's been uber aggressive. It's his driving style. He loves attacking, and now he's got to go the long way around the left-hander. If he can hold it around here, he's got a great shot in this next section. Still got himself the nose down on that inside, and Ivan Machado will not yield. Second in the championship. Ovcharov gives a little tap to the back of Aiden Young, and now on the brakes into the uphill chicane. Still they squabble side by side, almost contact between them. Machado is going to have to go straight on here, serve the slowdown penalty. Through goes Caruana, Weyer, Middleton almost 3 wide, diving down the inside, there's contact, and round's going to go one driver out there, and that's Leo Ovcharov.
Yeah, that was extremely unfortunate. I thought Leo was well up in front, and he just kind of got a little bit of contact on the right rear of his car. But up front, I think Victor Miranda might have thought about a move going into turn number 1 on Matt Busa there. But I think that this is going to be just a repeat deja vu of what we saw a little bit ago. Expect Victor and Matt to just kind of continue to run away. They're already 3 seconds clear of Caruana.
No driver has been able to go back-to-back so far this season, and the work being done is vital at this point for what you need to do. Matt Caruana just got on the radio. I think he's hoping that he's going to get no battling from Bryce Weyer behind, so that he can focus on these two. Look at the gap they've pulled, 3 seconds because of that drama in that battle for third. And Matt Busa realises this is a massive moment for the points haul. He wants to pull in. Yes, Victor Miranda's there. Victor Miranda can pretty much put one hand on a space at the shootout, of course, in October, if he can get himself that victory. But look behind at that group. Caruana, Weyer, Young, Middleton, and Shoma Shintani up in 7th place.
Speaking of that driver, he's got Kate Middleton directly in front of him. So Shoma is sitting there, that kind of third car in line. Kate Middleton, and you have Aiden Young, Bryce Weyer, all these 4 cars all lined up. And in fact, throw Byron Mitchell in there as well. About 5 cars, throw them under a blanket as we go down the donation pathway heading into the first chicane. And that's Bryce Weyer. Yeah, that's the number 15 with the slowdown and almost side-to-side contact. Right there, I believe that was Shintani and Weyer.
It's almost impossible to go too wide through there, but you can see these drivers trying to throw it in. Byron Mitchell now trying to send a lunge down the inside, but Bryce Weyer finding out the hard way why you can't afford to have a slowdown penalty, how much time he will drop, and now look for the race lead. Victor Miranda, for the first time, will dispose Matt Busa from the front of this race. It's taken 20 minutes and 40 seconds to make that happen.
You know, I can't say I'm surprised. Remember, we've seen Victor kind of up and down through the order, not always be fighting at the front. Sometimes it's fighting for third position, but when he is towards the front, he tends to throw a curveball and just want to lead this race. So a little bit of a different landscape than what we saw here just a few minutes ago in race number 1. We're going to see if Victor can lead the way this time.
Well, Victor Miranda will like to lead from the front. That's where he has the most confidence. There's Kane Middleton in 5th position right now, looking for the most regal of overtakes over Aiden Young, and not quite finding that one just yet. But it's all about drive here, down at the diving turn and then leading on to the Sam Posey straight. This is a circuit which is housed so much amazing racing in its long and illustrious career as a race circuit. As Middleton now makes that lunge at the Big Bend, it's had IMSA to its name. It's had itself even sometimes to look around here, there and everywhere, from right down to the lower specs, right to the top. But look at this. No point talking about what's gone on in the past. Talk about the present. Kate Middleton still trying to throw away through. Aiden Young does not know the word quit. It's not in his dictionary.
He used the camber, the banking on that racetrack in turn number 4 to defend. It was a nice piece of driving, and it's just brought right up Shoma Shintani as well as Byron Mitchell. So I think it's gone from Kate Middleton attacking, and here's a late move from Shintani, and thankfully saw it coming. No contact between the two, and now Shintani's actually going to lose a position. Byron Mitchell thought about it. I'm really surprised that Shoma was able to hang on to it.
The move pretty much jumped on top of Byron Mitchell there. He had to get out of it for fear of contact, and now they're starting to scramble. This group's entirely falling backwards into the clutch because you've got Weyer and Decker side by side for places, and the moment they start thinking about battling amongst each other, everybody else is going to want to jump in on the train, and that's the style of racing that is born about here at Lime Rock Park. It's a bull ring. You pretty much cannot breathe as you've got 15 minutes to be flat out here or else.
Power down, get the best launch you can out of that 5, 6, 7 combination of chicane there, because this next second chicane of 8, 9, and 10 creeps up on you rather quickly. You see the cars really dancing around on the brake pedal. You have to modulate that brake pedal between the front end grip and then be able to roll on the throttle, and you need maximum grip out of those rear tires in order to launch yourself down the straightaway. Shintani firmly in the slipstream behind Middleton. Middleton all the way defensive. I like this move from Shintani around the outside. The Darlington line. Oh, there's contact between the two. Both of them off into the grass.
Upside down goes Kane Middleton, and out of the race there on the roll hoop. So that's Middleton done and dusted. It's not been the day that Shoma Shintani has been hoping for here. He's been desperately unlucky over the course of this, but promotions for places for everyone. And now all of a sudden you've got Young in fourth, and now it's Byron Mitchell who's the final house in the top 5. Matt Boozer staying on the back of Victor Miranda, and here's why I think he's not battling right now at this stage. I don't think this is a pace issue from Matt Boozer, Joey. It's the Matt Caruana issue of he's closing even with the fact that these drivers aren't battling.
I agree with you, and Caruana last time a 54.4, Busa and Miranda 54.6. So yeah, that third place car is in fact coming. Now this is a pass here. Felipe Cabrera going down the inside of Bryce Wire here in turn number 1 and 2. He's going to be able to get that done. And also Ross Banfield, Shoma Shintani arguing about it amongst themselves back there. But all of these drivers, they're all kind of fighting for 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th position. And sure, that's points. You want to grab as many points as you can, but a lot of these drivers have already had contact, and that's why they're buried back here in the back.
White goes Weyer, and that brings Mikhail Sikorsky through to gain the place, and that jumps him up then into that P number 9. So there's certainly places there. Now look at this. It's a freight train for Bryce Weyer right now. Welcome to the Skip Barber E-Series right now, because that's Shoma Shintani straight through and flying through at that. Continues at the front, 5 minutes to go. Matt Boozer realizes he's maybe only got one shot at this, because the moment he goes for it, side by side, any sort of resistance between him and Miranda, Matt Caruana's in the game.
I'm going to agree with you, because he might only have one shot based off of pace. I think that Victor Miranda has just done a terrific job in the clean air, so I'm wondering if Matt Busa even gets the opportunity, if he even gets one shot at it. And Jake, if he does, he better take it.
But Matt Busa is trying to maximize his points haul. He knows how important it is to consolidate that third place in the championship, which he walks into at this moment in time. Matt Caruana is one of his biggest fears out there at this moment in time. Here is someone who on any given day, and especially here on any given Thursday night, has an opportunity to take the championship into his hand. And after missing the first 2 rounds of the season, Matt Caruana is on a mission. Matt Busa, though, on the other hand, he's been plying and plying and plying. He's been a part of every series of this season, has not had the opportunity to get inside that top 3, no matter how hard he's tried. But this might be his year as he now crests the rise with 3.5 to go.
But what I'm seeing right now, Jake, is our leader, the number 4 car, is slowly but surely pulling away from Matt Busa. I do think that Victor Miranda just has overall pace today. Matt Caruano is catching Matt Busa, so I think that storyline of kind of that third place in the points championship, no Cody D, who is going to take advantage today? It was obviously Busa in race number 1 claiming the victory, but can Caruana come back and grab some points himself?
Meanwhile, Felipe Cabrera Loyola on the hard charge, 17th, now looking for P7 around the outside of Andrew Moran. Can he get that sorted? Yes, inside line is his, and he commands the circuit into the left-hander, takes the place away, blocks it on the middle of the apex, and confirms the move. +10 for Felipe Cabrera.
Impressive, and you see a little bit of a defensive move into the first chicane here. He just wants to make sure that Moran doesn't go lunging down the inside. Focus on the exit as you launch your way up the hill, and now pretty much just focus forward. Forget about that car behind you, because the more you look at them, the more you're not looking at your braking points, your apexes. You need to put the visor down and focus forward.
Now the key here is that Matt Booster was able to gain a 1/10.5 from the final chicane down the diving turn and in towards turn number 1. So that's the margin he's looking for. A 1/10.5, maybe 2/10. He'll have the ability to make a lunge, and that's what he's trying to bank on. But that gap between Booster and Caruana is a 1.5 seconds, and at a 1.5 seconds, you start to feel slipstream, and that's where Matt Caruana's trying to get into play. But under a little bit ragged through that section. He'll need Jackson Rosenda to try and calm him down. But Matt Booster, I think, is the closest he's been in a long time. And look at the shallower line he takes.
Yes, I think it's all about the exit, though, and Victor's so smart. He knows that coming down the hill here with about 20 seconds remaining, so we should have 2 laps left for these drivers, and you'll see the slipstream. Look, you start to close it in going in here into turn number 1, but the brake zone, it's not that big. It's not that drastic in terms of deceleration. So I feel like at Lime Rock Park, you need to be fully up alongside somebody, or at least to the rear axle, if you want to make that late lunge into turn 1 and actually make it stick.
Victor Miranda here has been wrestling that car, and suddenly Matt Booster's got a set of wheels, thinking about that move into the chicane. He had an option if he wanted it. He decided against it. The gap 1.1 behind to Matt Caruana, cresting the rise, looking for a chance at the west chicane again. It's about run, Joey.
Let's see who gets the exit. Calm up and over the curbs. Both of these cars have a very nice throttle down there, so it's going to be up to the last lap. Can Matt Busa find a new way around?
Hard move to the inside to shake off. Victor Miranda, the championship leader, wants another victory in his back pocket. He's trying to secure his space right now against Matt Busa, who is trying to get himself as the gatekeeper, the one looking to house that top 3. Not close enough then, going through the left-hander. Now needs a big right-hander corner if he wants to make this one work. Still a car length between them now as they run to the uphill chicane. No chance here for Busa. He needs drive, and that's the important thing. How aggressive is he up through the curve? I think Victor Miranda here is looking for something that works. Busa, thoughts are there, but can he throw something in? He dives for the inside. It's not quite there. Miranda now's just got to drive for the exit, and how good is Caruana's run? Will he have something to say through the final corner? Victor Miranda is proving why he should be at the shootout, because when the chips are down, he is simply unmatchable as he takes it. It's second for Busa. Caruana, I think, ran out of fuel coming over the line. He takes 3rd position overall, and Byron Mitchell, what a drive from him, up into P4.
As the rest come across the line here, Victor Miranda, your points championship leader, shows you why he's standing on top of the standings up there, claiming yet another race victory.
Victor Miranda, when you pressure him, there are 2 things that can happen. Either he can disintegrate like coal, or he can turn into diamonds, and he is shining brightest in this series at the moment. His 15 minutes and 33 seconds worth of in-racing time was enough to win by almost 3/4 of a second over Matt Busa, who ended up in 2nd place overall. It would be Matt Caruana who would be the final driver on the podium, realizing he couldn't get close enough to Miranda and Busa, and potentially running out of fuel heading towards the line. Byron Mitchell would pick up a 4th position to keep his hopes alive with VIR on the horizon. Aiden Young, a very nice 5th place finish, also keeps himself in the running. Jeffrey Decker gets 6th position, with Felipe Cabrera jumping 10 spots to be the hard charger, 17th over to 7th, with Andrew Moran in 8th place. Mikhail Sikorsky finishing off in 9th, ahead of Shoma Shintani, who would rather forget this race, in 10th.
In 11th, another driver who was looking for a little bit of a better day. I do feel bad for him, as that number 1 of Leo Ovcharov back here. In 12th, we have Freddie Rodriguez Mira, Ross Banfield finishing in 13th, with Hayden Dewey back here in 14th. Bryce Weir in 15th, Sebastian Shadano Scittini in 16th, Patrick Hinkston finishing in 17th, and then we have Cade Middleton several laps down, as well as Ivan Machado, which is a big surprise. Remember, he's one of our top points championship contenders, finishing 19th and last.
Yeah, so Ivan Machado getting caught out has completely opened the door, and his drop round now gets used, and he's got to be very alert to who is scoring what out of today. But we will get a chance to talk to some of our drivers who have been in and involved over the course of this racing. Victor Miranda is one of those said drivers. He's with us right now. And Victor, I think this pretty much is what you were hoping for, an opportunity to showcase what you've got, making progress in both races, a gain of 2 in each, and crucially, Ivan Machado behind you, retiring from that race here today. You are moving closer and closer to number 1 in this championship.
Hey Jake, good night everyone. It's a difficult quali. I missed my lap. I started on 50 on the first race. Unfortunately, I had a collision with Felipe, but on race 2, it was pretty good. We put our pace and was a good race.
Talk us through how difficult it is to overtake around here, because this track was very condensed. It was very much a case of needing 100 meters, 200 meters to confirm some of the moves out there. So in a tight pressure situation where overtaking was difficult, how much thought between you and your spotter Jackson was there in terms of trying to open up an opportunity to make the move?
We tried to manage the position on the second race, but Busa wasn't on pace. Caruana was chasing us, and the strategy is passing Busa and put the pace, and and we did it.
Well, you've had an absolutely wonderful season so far. It looks like every time you're out there and you're racing, it's very tough to drop you out from these groups. I don't think you've had a finish lower than 5th over the course of this season. So for you, is it just a case of turning up then at VIR at the season finale and getting 2 results in on the board to say job done?
Yeah, no, the job is not done, but I am so happy with the performance, with the strategy, with the of all the championship, and let's go to VIR and on virtual first, and maybe on real.
Well, we hope to see you there, and we hope that that all works out in your favor. Victor Miranda there joining us, getting a big win there in race number 2. Your winner from race 1 and second overall in race 2 was Matt Busa. Joey Atterbury's caught up with him.
Yeah, Matt, you got to be happy with the points haul today. Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely. Getting that win especially was really rewarding. This is my favorite track on the sim. I've been running here since 2009 on iRacing. I remember back in the rookie days, there was like the first ever 6,000 SOF that all the road guys set up. And back then it was pretty much just oval. And I just showed up and, and won it. And all the road guys were like, who the heck is this? And ever since then, it's just been my favorite. So, yeah, really happy with the first and second place here today.
Well, you definitely picked up some tips and tricks along the way. Great job on the performance. Now, I got to ask you, were you going to take a little bit more of a shot at Victor if the opportunities presented itself in race 2?
Yeah, I noticed in race 1 he was catching up a little bit, so I knew his pace was probably a little bit faster than me. And then just throughout the season, he's been the dominant driver so far. And I saw in third place, Matt Caruana was catching us a little bit. He ran the fastest lap right before Victor caught me. So I figured it'd be best to just let him go and then not battle, not lose time. And if I did have the pace to pass him back, then I would try it in the last lap or 2. And I got within 0.2 of him, but just didn't have the run to make a move into turn 1.
Now, with this great points day for you, it firmly puts you in position to possibly snag third place in the championship. But really, quite honestly, a great points championship story for us over here. Going into VIR, how much would it mean a trip to VIR, the real VIR at the end of it?
Yeah, that's the main goal, to try to go from sim to reality. With Skip Barber, I've done it 2 years ago. Thanks to this series, I got to do a school at Lime Rock here, and I even used some of the tricks I learned there from instructor Ken here today. But yeah, that's the goal. I know it's going to be tough. There's a lot of strong competitors here, and with my focus on the sim being the eNASCAR side of things, all the time that goes into that, I don't have quite the time to practice that some of these other guys do, but we can't make any excuses. We just gotta get down to it and fight these last couple of races.
Well, Matt, your performance is outstanding today. Great job on the track.
Thank you. And shout out to Kevin Harvick Inc., KHI Esports, everyone that helps on the eNASCAR side of things, and my sim racing career overall is Treetop, and you guys for broadcasting, and Skip Barber for putting on the show.
Well, Jake, that was Matt Busa coming home with a first and a second today at Lime Rock Park.
Just what the doctor ordered in terms of what he was hoping for. Very quickly, we're going to get the chance to talk with Aiden Young, who's had a up and down day today. Now, Aiden, you started lap 1 of tonight's running backwards, and you've managed to come out of today with what is going to be for you a 7th and a 5th place finish. That is a great recovery.
Yeah, race one. When the first incident happened, I was disappointed at first, but then my dad was spotting for me. He just told me, get your head down, push. You can make it back through the field. So at that point, I was just like, all right, I got to become a man on a mission, get to front of the pack, which should represent the moon. So I just started pushing, keeping my head down, keeping calm, and then just trying to pick off one person at a time. Was lucky to avoid a couple incidents on lap 1 and race 1 as well after that. And then once I kind of got to around 12th place, I saw like the top 7, top 6 in sight. I was like, ooh, I can do this. So then I pushed as hard as I can. I ended up getting up there, and it was good for me, going all the way down to 20th and back up to 7th. Race 2, I had front wing damage, so I couldn't really challenge as much as I wanted to, but at least I know my pace is good, and that I can now actually fight for those top spots. So VRR, I'm gonna bring everything I have and just send it.
Well, you're going to bring everything you have there. How much are you paying attention to that championship, or are you in a situation where you go to VIR and you're just thinking about how many points can I get on the board, and then I'll think about where I finish later?
I know for sure that I need to score as many points on Matt somehow as possible. How what's going to happen, I don't know. I'll just show up to the race, push as hard as I can, and then at the end of the race, we'll find out and see what happens.
Well, we hope that you get yourself an opportunity to battle. We will see you, of course, at VIR. Aiden Young there joining us and picking up a great recovery drive here today. That is just about going to bring the curtain down on today's show of action here from Lime Rock Park. But Joey, we have to talk VIR because we are just a few weeks away. September 12th is the date that needs to be marked in the calendar. And at the moment, it's endless, the opportunities that are there. So many drivers have a chance to book their place for 3 spots for 1 shootout to go and emulate the likes of Elvis Rankin and Sebastian Weldon, who have done this series proud.
We came in here wondering about maybe the 3rd place in the championship, but with Machado having a poor points day, also Matt Busa just blowing it open with the 1st and a 2nd place, I think that we've got 2nd and 3rd to talk about going into the final round. And remember, both of those spots guarantee a ticket to VIR, the real VIR in that shootout. 4th and 5th still get to take home some cash and some prizes as well. But yeah, it went from talking about 1 spot to now a couple spots. Yeah, there's quite a few and a lot on the line.
There is so much on the line, and there is so much to bring to you, which we are so happy to go and get forward. A massive thanks to everyone who's been getting this done, of course, from Joey, from Christian, and from Dougie's work as well. You can always catch some amazing sim racing action with iRacing and, of course, with ourselves at the Global Sim Racing channel as well. So make sure that you're jumping in, doing what you need to make sure you're seeing some of the best sim racing action that the world has to bring. But This is a day where it's about who could make that run. In the world of golf, it's called moving day. This was moving day for all these sim racers. It's a showdown at VIR coming along, but for Victor Miranda, the country roads have just about taken him home.
This is iRacing.